Welcome back. My name is Paul Fritz, and this is the series on creating a scene in Unreal Engine. When I left you off, we were working on creating our floor. I just showed you how to move around inside of Unreal Engine, how to find some of the assets you wanted, where they were located, and a floor tile that you could start working with. I have since built out a little bit more on mine. I've laid my floor out, and I want to talk about some of the assets that I have out here. I've kind of placed them out just to kind of take a look at them and see what I want to use, kind of get an idea of how I want to do this. For my ground, these are the floor tiles that I had you start with. And then these other tiles down here, go ahead and fly through the scene here a little bit. There we go. So these down here are some of the bigger ones that were inside of our content. Let me go ahead and close this out. Down inside our content, inside the grasslands, environments, and then under surface types, I believe. No. Just opened them up and I can't remember. There we go. And under floors. So under planes and under floors, static meshes. There are a bunch of different floors down here. Initially, I thought that they didn't have any colliders, so you would fall through them if you tried to use them. But after playing around with them a little bit, I found out that they do work just fine. They are one-sided, so what that means is you can see through the other side. And if I hit play here, you can see that if I walk over them, they're just fine. But over here, where I've used them as part of my ceiling, so basically I just copied my floor down here and I did an alt and drug it up to here so that I'm going to use this as my ceiling for inside this large area that's going to be kind of like a cave, a catacombs type thing. And up here you can see that from the bottom you can see right through them. And then if I flip them over, right there you can see where I flipped them over. What happens is that they are see-through from the other side and the sun will shine right through them, and that's what these are right here. You can kind of see the outline of that right there. Another thing I've done is I've kind of played around a little bit with these textures. Right here is another one of the floor areas that is down here in the static mesh for the floors under the planes. And this is a floor section. It's never meant to be seen from the other side, just like these are not. So you can certainly walk up and down on it. It's got colliders. It looks good from one side. But when I put it up on the end, thinking that it might make a good wall, because you can use these assets in any method that you want. You just have to use your imagination. You could turn this up on side and use it as a wall, just like this right here. But again, it's only one-sided, so you can see through it right here. There it is right there. And you can see that the sun shines right through it. This other one right here that I have turned around, the sun shines right through it and creates this light area right here on the ground. So if you're going to use something like that, you'll need to have some sort of a backer behind it to either block the sunlight, or you'll need to put two of them together, which is something that you can certainly do. So for this example here, I could grab this here and make this double thick, just like that, and that would solve my problem so that it would look like a solid piece. But that makes it pretty thick, and it may not be something you want to do. For these up here, I'm going to flip them over so that they are all like this side here, similar to this other section here, so you can see them from the bottom. And what that'll do then is give me this appearance here. And then this second section up here is not really going to be walked on. This whole area up here is meant to be more of a ceiling. And I'm going to put some rocks up in here and create sort of a mountain cave looking thing, so that this looks like it's been carved out of the side of a mountain. And then this outside area out here, I'll probably create it to look a lot like a maze, so that as you move through it, you're going through different sections, you're encountering different possibly obstacles, or at least different scenes as you move through them. So this will be sort of like a large courtyard area with maybe a piece of the castle down at the end. But just from some of the ones that I've clicked and dragged out here, you can see that there are quite a bit of options to work with. There are actual walls. This is a pretty cool wall right here. I use this one quite a bit in the demo video that I made at the beginning. Also over here, next to these, are some of the Firelands walls. So some of these came out of the Firelands right here. This is a pretty cool wall right here. It's got some really good definition on the bricks. So I might find a place for that. Anyway, there's a lot of different assets. I like pulling them out like this, just kind of laying them out, taking a look to see what is available and what I can use. Played around with the fountain a little bit. This is a multi-piece. The fountain, this is an individual structure here. So if I go up to my content and type in fountain down here in my search area, you can see that all the fountain pieces will pop up. There is this fountain that I'm using right here. There's another fountain that's a kind of a pedestal fountain. If I pull it out here, you can see it. And I could certainly add some water, some effects to it. Then there are some other effects to this. This right here is the fountain piece of this fountain, so it falls down and splashes. And then the splash base, so this right here is another effect that is being done here to give it this sort of splashing look. So something else you can think about there. Okay, so another thing I want to talk about is materials. You can actually change the appearance of the way some of these textures are being used and also the scale. You know, you can certainly select one, for example, hit R on the keyboard, and you can scale it bigger, change it up, make it smaller, do all kinds of things that you want to do with it, reshape it. You know, you don't have to scale it evenly. If you just wanted it to be that wide, but you wanted it to be really tall, you can scale it up like that, make it really tall. It is going to deform your UVs a little bit, your texture, so beware of that. And as far as the textures themselves, so for this wall right here, I wanted to, if it's down inside my cave, you can kind of see how this texture is a little bit different than what I want it to be. I want this part of the texture actually down here because this looks like it's been carved out, and this has been carved but a little bit rougher. I could rotate these objects, but the problem is that there is no texture on the bottom. So when I do that, it's going to expose it to the light, and the light will shine right through it. And also, I kind of like the way it's shaped this way. I want to kind of build up my mountain using that. So I'm going to leave it the way it is. I'm not going to rotate it upside down. But another thing I could do is I could take this texture and I could modify it. So I'm going to move my picture here. And with this selected, you'll see that over here, we didn't really talk about this yesterday. This is my details panel. And my details panel tells me everything about this particular object that I've selected, to include the material that's being used in it. The texture, or this is the mesh right here, and this is the material right here. If I double click on the material, what will happen is the blueprint for this will come up that lays that texture onto that material. So this is the material. This is everything that goes into it. This is a texture sample, so this would be the color map. If I double click on that, it brings it up here inside of the content. You can see that this is right here is the texture. And then this blue right here is the normals map. So this is what gives it that three-dimensional look. So that looks like it's being lifted up off of the flat surface. What we can do is we can rotate this texture, and it requires a little bit of using the blueprints. So this is my first example for you on blueprinting. We're not going to create a new blueprint. We're just going to modify this one a little bit. But what I want to do is if I change this one, because this is the material that's being used on all of these, it'll change every single one of them. And you may not want that. You may want to only change a few. So we're going to first save this as a new material. So I'm going to do File, Save As. It's going to come up, and down here is the name for it. And I'm just going to underscore and type in 180 at the end, so I know I've flipped this one around. You can say flipped or whatever thing helps you remember. But I'm going to just type that as 180. So now this is a completely new material. If I went to where this material was being kept down here, so if I were to type in, probably call this just tiling clip. I'm going to have to get a little bit more into it, but so let me see. We'll go ahead and go m_env underscore fire underscore cliffs. All right, so nothing's coming up. Well, that's because I'm all the way in my textures. That would explain it. So make sure I go up to my content to look for that. And down here, you can see this is where I just created that new material. It's the 180. This is the original. This is the one I just created. We could also do an instance of a material, and that instance would allow us to do some changes as well. But the instance doesn't necessarily, is not a blueprint. It doesn't let us do what we're about to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and bring this up real quick. And here you can see that this is my texture sample. This is my texture sample for my normal, my albedo, or texture, color sometimes. It's referred to as a diffuse maybe. So quite a few different names for this particular one. That's actually the color one. What we're going to do is we're going to first add a custom rotator into here. So right click here in the center. If you right click out here and type custom into there, you'll see that it'll start to narrow down your choices, and custom rotator is the one we want to select. So I'm going to put that right there. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is we're going to go ahead and next we want to do a texture coordinate. So texture coordinate pulls out the position of a texture. It says, okay, it's oriented this direction in the world, and that's kind of how we can pull some information about it. So now I'm going to type in texture, and right here, texture coordinate, that's the one I want. Okay. And the last thing I need is a constant. Now we could right click here and we could type in constant, or there is also a quick button for this, so a quick key. So if I hold down 1 and left click, it'll bring up a constant. So the button number 1, left click, and it'll bring that up. So now what we've got is pretty much everything we need. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that into my UVs, take this texture or this constant and put it into my rotation angle, and we're going to put a number in here. So we're working with 360 degrees, and this is set in decimals. So if I put in 0.25, that would be 90 degrees. If I put in 0.5, which is what I want to do, I want to rotate it 180 degrees. So right here is this texture. If we take a look at it, watch it, when I take this and plug it into the UVs, my output into the UVs, you'll see that what it's done is it has now rotated it 180 degrees. Okay, now with that done and plugged into here, we also want to take this node and we want to take this and plug it into our other texture for this material, which is the normal. If we had some other ones like roughness and some of these other nodes, we would also plug it into that, but we only need it for this one. Okay, so with that, we're not quite done yet. We're going to go ahead and hit apply. And we might as well go ahead and save it. Okay. And now I've created that new texture called 180. So with this selected, nothing has changed yet because it still has the original texture tiling on it. If I hit the little down arrow right here, or I find it here in my content, I can click on it here, and if I hit this arrow, it'll change it to that, or I can also hit the little down arrow here and I can do a search for it and find it. Now since I just added 180 after the name, it pops up right after the original texture. So if I click it, you'll see that it's now changed my material by 180 degrees. So if I wanted to do that for all of these, I can hold Control Alt, so Control Alt and then left mouse button click and drag, and I can select all of the ones I want to change right there. So now I've got them all selected. So Control Alt and then left mouse button click and drag, and then over here I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to hit the down arrow, select 180, and it just flipped all those around for me. But I have not changed the ones up here. Okay, and if we take a look at the front side, you can see that the texture is also changed here as well. We compare it to the top ones. Now we can either change these for consistency if we want it to look exactly the same, or it kind of blends a little bit nicely here, so I might leave it. I'll have to play around with that a little bit and decide what I want to do. So that was a real quick look on how to kind of mess around a little bit with some of the assets that we have available, think about them a little bit differently, and kind of apply some of the stuff that we've got. remember that some of these materials don't have a backside to them. So if I come down in here, like some of these rocks, they look solid all the way around until you get to the backside of it, and you'll see that they're not so solid, right? So got to remember that too. So as you're planning out how you want to use some of these assets, just use your imagination. You can rescale them. There are a lot of them here. Doorways, archways, all kinds of really, really fun stuff to play around with. So that's it for this video. Think about what you want to do. The next time in my next video, I'll have this world built out so that you can see what we have, and I'll walk through you how I use all the different materials and all the different assets, and kind of demo that. And then from there, we'll do another blueprint and add some torch lighting and mess around with the lighting of our scene. All right, that's it. Thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw, again, please like my video and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next time.